I gotta ask, do you have any blockchain club groupies? Like, are the girls on campus that are like, these are the future right here. This is the winner right here.
I don't think so, honestly. Unfortunately, but no, I don't think so.
Good answer. You just got engaged.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. Maybe after this episode there will be.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Hey guys. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Top. I'm here with my man Chris Newhouse. Chris is the founder of the Georgia Tech Blockchain Club. Chris, thanks for coming through, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate it.
It's really exciting to see you building this platform for students and, what you've done with it so far. So just to back up for a second, man, tell me about yourself. Give me the personal Chris Newhouse origin story, and then we'll get into all that.
Definitely. So I've always wanted to kind of get into trading, and that's kind of my foray into cryptocurrency. So I started trading cryptocurrency back in 2017. That was back during the bull market and the big crash. That was definitely the first.
How did you even let's back up for a second.
Sure.
Like on your personal side,
Okay.
like how did you even first get
into trading?
Yeah.
Sure. So trading, what attracted me to trading was kind of the personality traits I have, and then what I've seen traders and people in the cryptocurrency industry kind of also exhibit. So I guess one of the biggest things about me in terms of why I would want to get into trading, first of all, it's pretty much a big meritocracy, not very much politics or bureaucracy in terms of a career path. Second of all, in terms of it's kind of like an eat what you kill mentality in terms of, okay, if you're doing really well, they definitely make sure to compensate you, so your personal impact can be seen very quickly. That's definitely like a huge importance for me, was being able to make a personal impact very quickly on the company that I work for. So those were definitely two of the biggest traits that kind of led me into trading. I came into Georgia Tech initially as a biology major because I was interested in kind of like cancer research and pharmacology. Realized that I probably wasn't going to be too good at that. I also realized that it'd take me an extra 4 or 5 years of schooling, and I just really don't think I'd be able to make an impact as quickly as I wanted to, kind of just in any sort of career. So that's what kind of led me to trading specifically.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, just to back it up for a second, like I think what's interesting about this podcast is just highlight the personality, the people that make up, this space, and just I think it's really interesting for people to just know, who you are as a person and how you got here, and because I know you're going to be here for a long time in crypto. So I think it's interesting to get into those traits. We have a lot of degens here in the space, but you present very clean and proper. Like, do you have any degen in you?
Definitely, man. I've been playing around on some of the crazy yield farms and things like that. I'm no stranger to some of the Time Wonderland or any of those crazy 10,000% APY farms, things like that. But I've definitely been truly interested and invested in the space ever since I kind of had my internship. And I've even, like I said, I started trading in 2017. I've heard the big projects back then, but DeFi Summer is what really kind of turned me on to the field of crypto.
Very cool. So, all right. So at this time when DeFi Summer hits, where are you? Are you at Georgia Tech already, or?
Oh, yeah. So I was pretty much at summer. So DeFi Summer, 2020, 2021-ish. I was still at Georgia Tech as a sophomore, junior, and that's whenever I really flipped the switch and was like, okay, I'm no longer interested in biology. I don't really want to do research. I'm not going to make a big enough impact on, any sort of career that I'd be, pursuing with biology. So that's whenever I was specifically like, okay, let me try this crypto thing, and that's whenever I really started kind of deep diving into specific projects, learning more about the technical, a little bit more about the technical side as well in terms of blockchain technicals, these miner extractable value bots, NFTs. NFTs back then weren't as popular, but that's the thing about the crypto space is it moves so fast. Nice. And 2021 was kind of the NFT boom as well. So I had a lot of kind of self-seeking experience in terms of okay, I was just trying to look and see what I'd be interested in the crypto space. In 2020, 2021, I already had that background from trading in terms of equity derivatives and options, and I was more so interested, okay, how can I take this skill set in traditional finance and pivot that to something I could do in crypto? And
Very
that's
cool.
Really kind of what I deep dove into.
So I think the difference between you and that story that you described and a pure degen is that you actually first were interested in TradFi trading,
Yep.
and that was your point of entry, as opposed to someone who just was wanted to rebel against the system and
Yep.
found something to harness that degen
Yep.
energy, and
Yep.
that's my story a little bit.
Yep.
But cool. So before we get into actually the steps that you took to build out this blockchain club at Georgia Tech, to even have that idea or even embark on that journey, you have to have a certain level of discipline. So
Definitely.
where did you find this discipline, and like where did it kind of come into play in other aspects of your life?
Definitely. So actually, I also want to make a quick correction. So Cole Schindel and Pruitt Martin also co-founded the club with me. So that was kind of leading.
Shout outs to Cole and Pruitt.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. So where I found the discipline, it was more so okay. I'm always the kind of guy who's like, if there's an opportunity that people kind of want to see, like I want to be the one to bring it up. I don't want anyone else to kind of like bring it up before me and stuff like that. So at Georgia Tech, we didn't really have opportunities to get into crypto and blockchain that were very popular on campus, and I think it's just because people just didn't have time to kind of put the right effort into it. So me being kind of like the personality I was, this is also going into the quantitative trading club that I founded at Georgia Tech. These opportunities weren't kind of available to students, and I wanted to be the person to bring them to students. And just kind of having that initial mission and goal is what really just backed up the entire kind of disciplinary aspect of it, in terms of like, okay, this is an opportunity that is going to be great for students on campus. I want to bring it up, and I want to do it the right way.
But like most students would just say, okay, I get it. There's no blockchain club. There's no quant trading organization. I'm just gonna hit the books, study as hard as I can, and try to find an internship. And most people don't think outside the box like that. So I think that's really dope. So tell me, when you linked with Cole and Pruitt, walk me through how the blockchain club got to where it's at today.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. So actually, whenever I met with Cole and Pruitt, we already had like a faculty advisor on campus, Professor Chava. He was, very much so interested in the blockchain and crypto, as well as quant trading. Pretty much anything financial on campus, he's pretty much the sponsor of. So he was very much so into sponsoring the blockchain club for us. And that's just, a background that you need for Georgia Tech. You have to get a faculty advisor to kind of become an RSO, which is a registered student organization. But Cole and Pruitt had actually reached out to him before I did. He said, okay, Cole and Pruitt, like, you should meet this guy, Chris Newhouse. Like, I think he'd add a lot of value to the organization, and maybe you could bring it up and co-found it with him. So I met them kind of on the campus library, and I remember immediately talking and hitting it off with them. They had the same exact ideas I had. They had the same exact plan and mission for what we wanted to bring on campus. I think there's another kind of like mini blockchain club or some sort of idea, and it was more so just like talk about kind of like shit coins and altcoins and just shill them to club members. Yeah. And I was like, that's definitely not what we want to do. We want to have the professional aspect of building out a club and organization to get these opportunities to students. So we immediately kind of hit the ground running and lined up. And
so what was that initial vision? Like, what did you guys connect on that was?
Got it. Yeah. So kind of the initial vision was just being able to bring opportunities to students on campus, whether that meant like external partnerships with other blockchain organizations, other companies, kind of recruiting agencies, up-top search, just kind of trying to bring. The thing about Georgia Tech, it's a top 5 engineering school, top 5 computer science program. There's a lot of talent at Georgia Tech, but they're not really aware of the opportunities in the field. So being able to be the person to bring those opportunities to these students and show them kind of like, here's what you can do with that CS background. This might be a more interesting career path for you guys, a little bit more exciting. That's kind of what we hit.
All right, love it. So what was the first success that you experienced in this blockchain club? The first time when you were like, wow, this works.
Yeah, it was definitely the first meeting. Whenever we had like 80 people show up, the club has grown to over 300 students. But that first meeting, whenever we had, 50, 60, 80 people kind of show up, get involved in our organization, that was definitely a big pivot. And then secondly, one of the next big milestones for our club was kind of getting FTX to sponsor us. So
that was your first sponsor?
I think, yeah, for the blockchain club it was.
Wow.
They built out their university program pretty early, and FTX is a sponsor of the quantitative trading club at Tech, and as well as the blockchain club. So that was definitely
amazing.
Yeah, that was definitely huge.
So you had a relationship with them through the quant trading club, or?
I had reached out to them back in, I think, September, October. I was pretty much heading all the external relations and kind of corporate partnerships. So I kind of just was speaking to a ton of different trading firms, a lot of different cryptocurrency firms, things like that, and that's how that kind of came about.
What was your approach to them? Hey, I've started this blockchain club at Georgia Tech. I have a whole bunch of students who are studying this and interested and collecting together. What can we bring to the table for FTX?
Pretty much. Yeah, so pretty much how it kind of started was I reached out to some of their external partnership kind of communications, and they were already interested in building out like a campus-sponsored program. So it kind of just lined up. They're like, fill out this form. Like, what are you guys looking for? What can we do for you? Can we bring speakers on campus? Can we donate any money for like food at your events? The thing about the crypto space is everyone realizes that marketing is very important. Like FTX is number one as well. Like they've got all the marketing rights to things. Just marketing is really important in crypto. Just because it's a new space, you need to tell these people that these opportunities exist in the space, right? So that's definitely the number one thing. And the fact that they already had that kind of built out, that was kind of just beneficial. It was right place, right time for the organization.
Amazing. And so how does it work with your engagements with the other blockchain clubs, with other students? I know we're going to bring in my boy Sam for a little bit, but I know you have a really strong network in these other schools. So how does that work?
Got it. So pretty much what we kind of do with some of these other university clubs is, first of all, we'll be like, hey, these are kind of the companies we've partnered with and sponsored with. Maybe you would want to reach out to them and kind of see if they could partner with your organization. And then second of all, we kind of talk about and share resources. So I sent you and I sent some other people this massive drive that I have, and it's got every sort of resource from what is DeFi to what is an NFT to Andreessen's take on Web3. So sharing resources and sharing opportunities, that's kind of the name of the game in terms of all these partnerships with other organizations.
Awesome. Now, do you guys, I know that you obviously have meetups at the club where you have speakers come and you know, do all kind of fun stuff like that, but when it's just you guys, the private Georgia Tech blockchain meetup, how does that meeting go? What kind of stuff do you talk about? Do you hold each other accountable? Do you learn together? Like, what does that feel like?
Definitely, yeah. So at Georgia Tech, so we've kind of split it up into a bunch of different things. So we've got like campus speakers, maybe, you know, once or twice every week, maybe like some sort of just a pop-up speaker or something like that in terms of the Atlanta blockchain community. But then Pruitt, myself, Cole, and some other students at the club, we kind of developed this 10-week blockchain course. So some of the meetings would be us kind of just presenting new topics in cryptocurrency and blockchain, just helping students on campus learn more about how to get involved. It was as basic from how to kind of create a MetaMask wallet all the way up to the technicalities of some of the on-chain data statistics from like Glassnode or anything like that. So we took it from, you know nothing about crypto or you know a lot, you can still come in and learn with us. So
that's awesome, man. I love it. Last question on this blockchain club is like, is there any shining examples of a kid that maybe was a freshman when you started it and now he's a stud and has learned a lot? Like any success stories?
I would say that there definitely are. So there's definitely people who were interested more so in the Web 2 kind of dev kind of side of things like that. And then after
convince them to the dark side?
Yeah, exactly.
My man.
As soon as they kind of got involved with the club, they're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I can use JavaScript and React to kind of work around with like building these NFT projects and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of the big success stories in terms of converting these freshmen to getting interested in crypto and blockchain over, you know, the traditional Web 2 or traditional finance kind of side of things.
Well, that alone is worth the sponsor from the big companies.
100%.
For sure.
100%.
Love it. All right, actually, last question about the blockchain club. As, you know, you become an alumni, because you just graduated, and, you know, going forward, there's going to be a whole bunch of alumni, Pruitt, Cole, pretty soon. So what's the future for the blockchain club, and what kind of opportunities do you see being able to give back?
Definitely. So we've already kind of structured out our leadership. It's very much so. We know that whenever we leave, the club will still be there. It's very strong in terms of kind of who we've passed the club down onto, and we've also got a lot of interest from new members as well in terms of the first years in coming to Georgia Tech. We do a lot of recruiting, a lot of marketing. In terms of kind of like what I think the next steps are for me and how we can give back, it's definitely going to be kind of ending up at one of these crypto native institutions, bringing these opportunities for recruiting for interns, for full-time graduate programs, bringing these opportunities back to students on campus and kind of just advertising and marketing for these crypto companies. That's definitely one of the biggest things. Also, one of the biggest things I want to do is be able to come back personally, see the club still there, and be able to present myself as like, hey, I'm in the crypto space now. Like, I got the opportunity. We're advertising now. Like, if you guys are interested in that as well, here's the opportunity.
Amazing. So I'm excited to, in partnership with Pruitt and a few other guys who've been helping me out, roll out this platform where I can offer my clients a monthly subscription to an unlimited database of self-refreshing interns, right?
Yep.
So what I plan on doing is aggregating all of the students from the different blockchain clubs onto one platform where they can easily be engaged with directly, you know, and tell me what you think about that idea.
Yeah, I think that is a great opportunity and great idea, just because specifically the way to get full-time opportunities as a student comes with the internship experience. Like a lot of people in this space, they don't typically go, you know, zero internship experience directly into a full-time job that they would enjoy doing. So I think that kind of working around getting these internships, that's the number one deal and number one thing for some of these students. I mean, I know for a fact a lot of these projects are, you know, looking for talent, looking for interns, and there are a lot of students that don't realize these opportunities aren't posted usually at a lot of places. Right. Like a lot of the stuff is cold email, cold networking, cold calling in terms of being able to source yourself an internship for the summer in crypto at some of these smaller projects. So I think being able to kind of aggregate that search for talent and kind of have these students ready to go in terms of like getting these actual internships with project companies, bigger portfolio companies, things like that, that is going to be very beneficial for a lot of students.
Hell yeah. And like you said, like the internships are rarely posted, and these companies are small startups, right?
Yep.
So they don't have like
The
a
budget.
campus recruiting team who's out there like promoting
Exactly.
to the students directly. So you kind of, I feel like this come up product is kind of cracking the door open on
Yep.
both sides and connecting to people who want to be connected but just don't really have a platform to do it.
Exactly.
You know? And one other thing I want to bring up is like we're using the term internship, but I feel like in crypto, and I'm curious to hear what your experience is with this, but I feel like in crypto there's plenty of formats, I guess, to get this experience, whether it's like a summer internship
Yep.
or whether it's like a project, a side project, or
Yep.
me and you have talked about these bounty projects before. So I know there's a lot of different, formats that we could put in the internship bucket, but tell me your experience in that.
Yeah, so definitely. There's definitely a lot of different opportunities for students to kind of get this hands-on experience. It doesn't have to be an internship, but at the end of the day, you do need hands-on experience, especially as the market gets more and more competitive for some of these internship search talents and things like that. I'd say that some of the biggest beneficial things you can talk about on your resume is actually like a hands-on project where you experimented with DeFi, where you, if you're earning airdrops and things like that, you're probably playing around enough on DeFi to be able to kind of talk about that in an interview and things. But yeah, I'd say that projects, hands-on experience are definitely going to be huge. Internships would be great, but being able to work on anything specifically in DeFi or in crypto, getting hands-on, even doing something on Dune dashboard, like building out a dashboard for a project, it doesn't have to be like a formalized professional kind of experience. It just has to show that you know what you're talking about in the space. So any way you can get that is definitely going to be beneficial for students.
Facts. So tell me, since you didn't have the Come Up product available to you, how did you first get your internships and your experience? Like, how did that work?
Definitely. So I kind of started out whenever I was recruiting, it was like 2021, and the interview process for me was a little bit different than kind of how it might be today. But in terms of what I kind of did for a lot of the questions that I was asked, it was something along the lines of, have you farmed yield before? Like, do you know what DeFi is? Can you explain what Uniswap is? Where do you think the price of Bitcoin is going? It's very much so back then in 2021, and maybe for some of the small projects still today, it's, are you passionate? Are you interested in the space? Do we think you'll be here in a year to give you a full-time offer? Like, do we think that you're passionate enough to stay in the space? And the ways that I kind of proved that was, I kind of created the Blockchain Club, quantitative trading organization, and then I had already had the professional kind of trading experience from 2017. And that's kind of just me saying like, okay, hey, like I traded crypto in 2017. I see you guys are building out like a derivatives product offering. I'm very interested in like equity derivatives. I'd love to see if I can translate that skill set to something in crypto. Then they asked me all the crypto native questions like, okay, have you farmed yield before? Like, where do you think Bitcoin's going? Where do you think it gets its value? Things like that. And then I was fortunate enough that a lot of these crypto native companies, they're very big in the industry, but like I said, to students, people don't know about these. Right. I think whenever I applied last year to Genesis, I was competing against maybe 42 people. Wow. And then I think whenever they rolled out the same program this year, within an hour, there were 300 people applied. Wow. So I was just right place, right time with the right skills, just took advantage of kind of the opportunity. And that's how I got my first kind of internship experience there. And like I said, they're well known in the space, and utilizing that, I was able to get a lot of professional connections and kind of meet new people.
It's crazy how things grow in such a short time, right?
Yep.
In this space. But how did you source your original internships? Like, how did you find them?
Well, there is a very simple answer. I kind of just easy applied on LinkedIn. And then kind of after that, I just did a little bit more research in the company and what they actually were. So for me, it was pretty traditional. I kind of just sent out some applications, sent out some emails.
Because I guess the companies you were talking about are the bigger ones, the FTX, the Genesis, that actually did have those opportunities.
But I do know, so there's someone, he's interning with, he wanted to intern for a quantitative trading program, and he was like, okay, I can't get this internship experience right now. I said, hey, well, a lot of these, quant trading companies are building out crypto teams, crypto desks. They're looking for developer talent, HRT, things like that. I said, hey, maybe you should, reach out to some of these like DeFi option vaults protocols and see if you can get an internship there, like learning about option strategies. That's something that's very much so specific in traditional finance, but also very easily translatable to crypto because they have crypto options. And he got back to me and he was like, yeah, I emailed Friction and like I have an internship with them part-time now, and now he gets to put that on his resume. And
it's one of my clients. Shout out to Friction.
There you go. There you go.
Hell yeah.
So
love it. Cool. Tell me what you think about this, because this is a piece of advice I've been giving to people lately who are just struggling to like put one foot in front of the other and like get their footing in the very, very beginning. But I've been saying, like, you mentioned the questions that you were getting asked on your internship interviews, which are very generic and basic,
Yep.
like obvious DeFi questions. Now, we have plenty of people that do so much like independent research and degen stuff on their own time and can speak for hours about these basic questions, right?
Yep.
My advice has been, where have you documented this? You know what I'm saying? Because it would be powerful to go into that interview and say, oh yeah, of course I can answer your basic DeFi questions. And also, here's where I've written articles about this. Here's the predictions that I've made. Here's like a documented thing that I could show you of the work that I've been doing and what I think. You know?
Yeah. I think one of the best places to put it is probably Medium. I read a lot of Medium articles about the crypto space, and then crypto Twitter as well. I think being able to kind of point back to the contributions you made directly to the space, crypto Twitter, Medium. It's very crypto native stuff too. A lot of people aren't just posting their tweets and but they get really in depth. So I think that's one of the biggest.
Just to have something to reference that you publish.
Exactly.
It just validates you. Just like you said, creating the blockchain. Yeah, just like creating the blockchain club was a validator when you went into the interviews.
Yep.
It's something to talk about. You know what I mean? So for sure. All right, cool. So we talked about interviews. We talked about internships a little bit. Why don't we talk about how the changes in the market these days have been affecting the types of opportunities that you're seeing, and going forward, like for students, like how do you think this market is going to reflect on them?
Yeah, so this is also it goes back to 2017 as well. So 2017, that big bear bull market kind of boom and bust kind of deal. That's something that I think about kind of daily in terms of like job security, career paths, things like that. Back in 2017, I could definitely see, people being like, Chris, like, don't go into crypto. Like 2017, I could definitely see that. It was very much so retail driven, not very much institutional interest. We had no idea like if it was going to be here in 4 years. Now, however, I think 2020, 2021, 2022, there's too much institutional money and kind of these bigger financial institutions involved that it's probably not going to fail now. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of smart people in the space. A lot of smart people have been moving to the space. Like, I think that it's definitely going to be here for the long term. I mean, Andreessen just raised their $4.5 billion crypto fund, biggest one ever. That's huge. FTX is kind of going around, kind of shopping now for a lot of these different crypto companies. I think a lot of the opportunities are going to kind of be... I think we'll see in terms of what opportunities are going to be available. I think that the biggest opportunities are going to be like, you might not want to hear this, but probably the traditional finance institutions that now want to get into crypto. Now they can kind of get into it at probably a fair price. You're going to be able to get talent from Coinbase, these other crypto native institutions. I think if you were kind of worried about job security and you're heading into a traditional finance institution now, like they're not going to be able to shut down the desk now, I feel like I think it's too big to fail, and I think this is their opportunity to get in terms of kind of smaller projects. I think the strongest projects are going to be the ones that survive, obviously, and I think kind of building out those Web3 native skills in terms of Solidity, smart contract dev, that's still going to be highly sought after for a lot of these projects. In terms of like NFTs, I don't really know. I'm a big kind of quantitative trader, more focused on the dev side. I'm sure that there will still be kind of demand for artists and project work on NFTs, but I'm sure we've all seen kind of the layoffs at Coinbase. Some of these, like a lot of these companies, they just grew a little bit too quickly, and it would have paid off if we were still in a bull market. But right now, the market sentiment's kind of shifted, and it just so happens to go against them now.
100%. I mean, I think I think the reality is, interns don't get paid too much money, so it's not going to affect them too much. I think the opportunities are still there, and actually there may be even more opportunities for interns at this time, to be honest with you, because companies are going to be so conservative about spending money to make big hires right now. Like, let's just take the interns and
for 3 months,
and groom talent internally, and we can hire this kid.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we talked about your interview experiences. We talked about the internships. Let's talk a little bit about your career goals going forward. So, I know. Tell me about what you can tell me about your job that you're walking into, and where you see yourself going in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So I had a couple of different offers for a lot of trading firms specifically. So I'll be joining GSR July 25th. They're going to fly me out to London for the first 2 weeks of training. Hey. It's going to be great. In terms of career goals, I think in crypto it moves so fast that you can't really do the 5-10 year thing. Like, okay, where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10? I kind of like the 2 to 5 year range. So kind of in the next 2 years, hopefully, I'd want to see myself, still at the same firm, but I'd like to take on more of a mentorship leader kind of kind of role in the firm. That's definitely one thing about me, and you can see it through the organizations that I've kind of brought to campus, is I really want to help people. Like being able to bring these opportunities to people in the space that, first of all, I love what I do already in terms of crypto and trading. I just want to be able to bring these opportunities to other students in the space. So being able to be a mentor and being able to be a leader in the space, that's definitely something I want to do. In terms of also why I joined crypto, it's because, okay, in traditional finance, usually the thought leaders, big guys in the space have dozens of years of experience. But in crypto, you don't really have to be the oldest guy in the room to still be knowledgeable about what you're talking about. So in 5 years, I'd really like to still be in that mentorship kind of position, mentorship kind of role, but I'd like to be directly contributing to the space, whether that be, you know, through Masari or Bloomberg interviews, things like that. Yeah. I just want to be directly involved in the space.
Love it. And I think it would be interesting for a lot of companies out there to learn, like, how you chose this job. What was your criteria? What was important to you?
Yeah, perfect. So the biggest thing that was important to me is kind of a graduate program. So something that's very structured, being able to give you kind of the training, be able to join with a team in terms of, okay, there's going to be 5 or 6 other people who are, you know, my same age, going into the same exact role, same exact company. That's definitely something that was very interesting to me and very much so sought after. Also, I was kind of looking in terms of being able to get like a mentor or a buddy or something like that, just being able to join the company and kind of hit the ground running in terms of being able to learn from people who are, you know, much smarter than me and being able to kind of have a friend right off the bat. That's definitely something that was highly interesting to me in terms of what I was looking for.
That's interesting that you say that, because like we both know that there's a certain type of crypto personality, that the straight up degen type that actually like kind of doesn't want that clear path or that mentorship, kind of just wants to figure it out on their own. So I think it's cool that you were actually looking for that kind of program.
Exactly. And the reason for that is because, you know, in 5 years, I want to be set up the best in 5 years to kind of be a contributor to the space. And I think that mentorship early on is very, very important. So that's definitely one of the big things I look for.
Love to hear it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Cheers, bro. So we're about to bring in Sam, who you've worked with before, engaged with before, but never met in person. So this has been pretty cool. We're going to bring him in. What have you guys talked about, done together in the past?
Yeah, so we kind of collaborated on the quant trading organization. So we had shared resources, shared kind of sponsors, and we're actually talking with another trading firm right now to kind of have like a collaborative event with them in the fall. So that'll definitely be awesome.
Collabs at its finest. Come on, Sam, let's do this. Come on. Yep, let's get it. My man.
How's it going?
Good to see you, bro. How's the internship going?
It's great.
Tell me about it.
So
you're interning where?
Hab Capital.
Nice.
They're an options market maker.
Okay.
And so I'm on the research side of things, and it's a lot of stats, a lot of math, a lot of data science, but that's my background.
Well, who better than you? Give us a little rundown on your background and what you've built. That's cool.
Yeah, so technically my background is data science. I worked as a data scientist for 3 years, worked in machine learning this spring. Now I'm off on the quant research side.
And hang on, you're in school still, so what school?
Still in school, U of I, CS major.
Nice.
And looking to graduate a year early. So, graduate.
Getting right to it.
Well, it's like all the stuff I know that makes me money right now, all those skills, I haven't learned in school. It's been stuff I've picked up on the side, you know, sitting in my dorm room, doing research, looking at what is this model, what does this do, how can I use it, how can I apply it to finance.
So you've accomplished a lot at your in your school in the short time that you've been there. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing, what you've built, and let's start there.
Yeah, so I, along with my founder, Jonathan, we built this organization called Quant, which is a quantitative trading fund run exclusively by students. We have a faculty advisor, Rich Excel, who worked in the industry for 30 years, and essentially what we do software development. That's one division. We have a quantitative development division, and then we have a research division. And I've envisioned this sort of flow chart where the researchers come up with some strategy, some idea, and then it gets passed down to the developers, just like in the industry. And those developers, you know, they'll implement it into production, get it trading, and if they need any sort of infrastructural support along the way, they go to the software devs. And our school is inundated with software devs because we have a large CS program, and it really prepares you well to be a software engineer.
Love it. So cool. So now you're a student. So you're basically, what you're describing is a crypto trading operation that's run fully by students. Are you trading other assets or just crypto?
Crypto is hard because there's a lot of slippage, a lot of gas fees, and it's, students are really interested in it. I'll give you that. But there is a learning curve that comes with it.
Interesting.
Learning how to trade that. We're looking at equities. That's probably the easiest space to enter into. Derivatives and futures are hard because for futures there's a $50,000 minimum you need to trade those as an institution. So we'd likely start with equities.
So tell me where the idea came from to build this. Obviously, as you pointed out, like U of I has a super strong CS program, so there's plenty of students and it's plenty of students that are specifically interested in crypto. But where did the idea come from? Where did the discipline come from? And how did you get to the point where it's at today?
Yeah, so my buddy Jonathan, who's now working in IB, he was the one who saw this need at U of I. We have such a strong CS program, such a strong business school, and there was no quant trading club. And he saw that gap and he wanted to fill it.
Amazing.
So about a year ago, he conceived this idea for quant, a student-run trading fund. And he wrote me in a couple months later, roped in a PhD student named Jack Huang, a really sharp guy. He's doing electrical and computer engineering, but he worked as an algorithmic trader in his past life. And so it was really that team of three with a few other people along the way. We saw this need and we executed upon it. And we brought it to conception. And along the way, as you know, we partnered with you up top, partnered with D. Shaw, Citadel, Meta, Robinhood, a bunch of big names, Quant Connect.
Tell me about these partnerships. Like, how did you source them? What are you guys doing together? And how have they added value to the organization?
Yeah, great question. These partnerships, a lot of them were just cold calls.
By you?
Yeah, I would just honestly go through email lists and go down the list and email these people. I'm a very extroverted guy, so talking to people comes naturally, and I would just send these emails. Your hit rate would maybe be like 10-15%, but those 10-15%, those were big names.
Hit. The right. Ones that hit, they hit.
They hit, yeah. So for the most part, it's just been, they've given us capital. They've notified us when they're hosting their events on our campus. But we're really looking to up the game with these partnerships this coming year with a large event.
Love it. Well, you're actually the first student club that I ran into personally, and you were the first person that I ran my Come Up product by, and I'm super excited that we're so close to finally launching this next week. We're going live with the beta version. But yeah, I think the idea for the Come Up product is super simple, and there's definitely a big need for it in the market. It's basically a subscription-based model where I'm aggregating the top students from all the top blockchain clubs at the universities into one platform where my clients can engage with them directly, whether it be for project-based work, whether it be for contract work, or whether it be for internships, or even full-time employment upon graduation. I think creating that channel for direct engagement for this kind of thing is definitely necessary and will help you a lot with doing no more cold calls for you. It'll be straight,
right.
And, I think the beauty of this idea is it's the simplicity around it. Like, I've had so many people that I've told about this, and they're like, ooh, well, once you start with that, we can iterate and build, like, the next LinkedIn for crypto and students. And I'm like, nah.
Yeah. Like, that's a great analogy. Next LinkedIn for crypto.
Well, if someone wants to buy this product from me and make it the next LinkedIn, you got it. But for me, I think the idea of just connecting students and my clients is beautiful and simple on its own, And I don't feel like overcomplicating it at this time. But I think there's definitely a big need for it, and I'm really pumped to partner with you, Chris, and some of the other organizations and get this off the ground.
Yeah, super exciting.
No more cold calls, bro.
No more cold calls. Yeah, it really needs to be streamlined.
But respect the cold calls. I'm a sales guy, so, you're speaking my language for sure.
It takes a lot of determination and grit to go through those cold calls because, like I said...
Did anyone ever say no?
Yeah.
Really?
Along the way, people would say, sorry, we've already reached our limit for student orgs that we've sponsored. And it just so happened that all the ones that said yes were all the top firms, Citadel, Meta, D. Shaw.
Amazing. Any particular partnership that you want to highlight as like a specific success?
There are a few that, like personally, my story is interesting with Hap Capital where I'm working now. So we released this post for Citadel when Citadel sponsored us, and it did really well on LinkedIn. Got hundreds of likes, hundreds of reactions, tens of thousands of impressions. Right, yeah, impressions.
That's the term, yeah.
So I was going through the list of, okay, who liked this post, and I would, see, is it, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, what companies?
Yeah.
And then I would see a lot of recruiters liking the posts, and then I would go and add them. And one of the firms whose recruiters saw this post was Hap Capital. So reached out to them and asked them, hey, you guys interested in sponsoring Quant? And we had a phone call, 30 minutes. They told me about their firm. I told them about Quant. And it ended up not working out for that partnership.
Okay.
But what ultimately happened was I was so impressed with their firm, how it's structured, what they do, that I said, might as well apply to do research there because it seems like a great place. And went through the application process and landed an internship through that.
Love it. Now, question. I don't know if you want to speak on this, but how did the Quant team do during the recent market crash?
Oh, see, we were still setting everything up. So luckily we dodged a bullet there.
Nice. No exposure.
No, which is actually a good thing in the long term.
Great thing.
We were still setting up our legal entity, which is Quant Illinois nonprofit, and luckily we didn't invest anything. So
good.
We mitigated those losses.
Very good. And I'm curious, I asked Chris the same question, but I'm curious, tell me about your engagement with other blockchain clubs, because I know you're very well connected in the student space. Tell me about your partnerships with other blockchain clubs and how you see that going.
Yeah, so Chris, he was one of the first guys I met. I love Chris. We really hit it off. As he mentioned, we would have meetings where he would share some resources, I would share some resources. We would share contacts, stuff like that.
Amazing.
I think, did I introduce him to you, or did
No, we actually,
just
totally
independently?
Separate.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Small world.
Yeah, but we would introduce each other to our contacts, and that was really the first one, the first point of contact with another school. And after seeing how well that worked, I said, why not expand to other schools? So as soon as I got to New York, I met with this guy named Arthur. He runs the Cornell Quant Fund. And
Nice.
Really great guy, really sharp, really motivated, just like Chris. And they're hosting this huge event in New York. It's a trading competition. And they're inviting people from the top schools. I think a team from MIT might be coming out. A team from UI is invited. And these blockchain trading crypto organizations, they're just sprawling. It seems like the universities are recognizing the opportunity that's at our doorstep, and they're just putting money into these events. So my experience has been really positive this far.
That must feel awesome, right?
It's great.
That must feel great. Something I forgot to ask Chris, but I'll ask you instead. What have you learned about community in crypto over the last couple months?
There's a huge community. It's remarkable. There are, like your Discord, for example. There's always something going on in every channel.
Yeah.
People are always having conversations, whether it's about the market or if it's unrelated. But it's a very tight-knit community, and it's people there that recognize what crypto has the potential to be in 5-10 years. We might be going through another crypto winter, but these people will bring us through it.
Hell yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, I've had the greatest time. For me, I've been going to so many of these events and meeting so many people in person that I feel like my colleagues and coworkers have become like my friends, truly, and I really just enjoy the relationships that I've built in this space. It's like a second group of friends for me now in crypto.
Exactly.
Yeah, can't imagine how that must have worked out in college, building this community and being around each other every day, a lot of exciting energy, a lot of good stuff. So are you planning on coming to New York at some point, or staying here, or what do you think?
I love it here.
Yeah?
It's great. I could totally see myself working here.
But you're not a DGen, are you? You're not.
DGen?
You're not. Would you consider yourself a DGen or no?
What would DGen mean in this sense?
All right, great question. What I think DGen means in the crypto world, I think a DGen in crypto is someone who really doesn't mesh well with authority, doesn't take directions too well. They want to figure it out on their own. They want to do it in a way that makes sense to them. They got a mission. They have a goal, and no one can tell them anything different, that they're going to accomplish that mission. You know what I mean? I think that's what a DGen is.
I know what you mean. And what's amazing about this space and the experiences I've had thus far is you kind of meet these type of people along the way. People like my manager at work, great guy, doesn't micromanage. He lets your creative energy come out, and I think that's really valuable. But to your point, there's a lot of places where, mostly the large firms where you're just a cog in a huge machine.
Yep.
You don't really have that creative output, and you're a cog in such a huge machine.
Nah, you're speaking my language now. Like for me, like the ability to be creative and run my strategies is everything. And I have a talking point that has become a thing for me over the year, which is I can relate in one very specific way to every single one of my clients and candidates in this space, which is all we're doing at Up Top is taking what we did in Web 2 or TradFi and applying these crypto types of strategies and technologies or whatever and just ways of operating and doing it the crypto way, the Web 3 way. And I think we all in this space like have that essential thing in common,
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. I'm big in the entrepreneurship scene. I have a startup in the biotech space, which separately...
Yeah, tell me about this.
Separately, I think biotech is going to be, alongside crypto, one of those industries that just booms in the next 10, 15 years. Because I know firsthand, I've looked at the numbers, the government is just pouring money into biotech. These companies coming up. And my startup is looking at ECGs. So looking at the heart signal and using that as a way to non-invasively and remotely predict potassium levels in the blood. And that's useful for patients with chronic kidney disease because their kidneys can't filter out the waste in their blood. So potassium and other electrolytes build up in the blood. And when they're not going through dialysis, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like on the weekends, these levels shoot up and a lot of them die from cardiac events.
Wow.
So if there was a way for them to take an ECG on the Apple Watch or some remote ECG and see, okay, my potassium's a little bit too high, I have to go in for emergency treatment to prevent one of these sudden deaths, that could save a lot of lives and improve their standard of living.
Well, where did your vision come from in this? Where's the motivation for this?
See, I actually joined the team a little bit after they conceived the idea, so I joined a few months late to the party, but they
just recognize the potential in this space.
Recognize the potential, and to your point, I'm kind of a degen. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't like being told what to do. I hate people saying.
It's so funny that we connect the degen and entrepreneur. Those are two things that are very connected in Web3 crypto, and I guess outside too. Like we're talking about biotech right now, but in the new definition of degen, it's very connected to entrepreneurship and creativity. Isn't that dope?
Yeah, it's about thinking outside the box, or rather, living outside the box.
Yeah, that's a better way to put
outside
it.
the box.
For sure. So listen, man, I'm really impressed with what you've built. I'm really impressed with your vision and where you're going. What would a generic question, but one that's worthy of asking for sure? What's your advice to students going forward?
So I have life advice for not just students, but anyone. I've learned over the past 2 years, really since the pandemic started, that sleep, diet, and exercise are the 3 most important things in life. And if you knock those down, if you're getting a consistent 7.5, 8 hours of sleep each night, if you're eating right, eating vegetables, fruits, all that stuff, getting your protein in, and then hitting the lifts in the gym or doing cardio, it seems like your life just sort of falls into place.
Man, that's so true. A lot of things in life are just about putting one foot in front of the other and doing the next right thing and continue down the next right path,
Yeah.
I love it. Let's leave it there, bro. Thanks for coming through. Great to see you.
Great being here. Great
Hell
to
yeah.
see where the magic happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll be in New York full time pretty soon, and we'll be kicking it more often. But for now, man, it's been another episode Off the Top. Thanks for checking us out. Follow these kids, Chris and Sam, and yeah, man, salute.
Salud.